All right, I'm going to mute myself now, Michelle. It's all you.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started today. And the first thing we were hoping that you guys would do is if you could take a second and introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know what your name is. And then we're inviting you to give us a couple of words about what motivates you or inspires you to do the work that we are all doing. So if you could take a couple seconds, please put your first and last name in the chat and let us know what motivates and inspires you to do the work that you're doing. That'll give us a couple more minutes to let everybody get in. The students, I love that one.
Oh,
Seeing growth.
yeah, I got over there and stuff. I'm still trying to get a little bit of stuff going on. This is a new little laptop, and I'm having a hell of a time with it.
Dwayne, we can still hear you. So it looks like a lot of us are in this line of work because of the kids, which is definitely the center of our universe. Lots of people have stated that they love to see the growth and the success that our students encounter, inspired by students. Overwhelmingly, that's what I see. So that is awesome. Feel free to keep adding to the chat as we move forward. I'm going to turn it over to CJ to talk to us a little bit about RISE culture.
Hi there, I'm CJ Webb, Youth Services Coordinator, and the RISE culture is something that the Oregon Department of Human Services thinks about and tries to utilize to help us work best with our partners. And it's covered by these RISE elements. And safety, well-being, and belonging is well, all of the elements are about centering relationships and people in all that we do. And we want everyone to feel good about our interactions. So with those elements, the safety, well-being, and belonging is about supporting you, creating a space to share and process. Honor and value each other is about all of that. We all come from different places, and we want to grow and trust through meaningful relationships and taking the time to also address conflict as needed. Equitable treatment and racial justice is about promoting personal responsibility while practicing allyship and also assuring that universal design access is available. Collective responsibility and growth is about improving our systems with compassion. Meaningful participation and shared power is about being mindful of our power dynamic while connecting with the community. And interconnected communities is about building the relationships with collaboration and partnership. And these are those elements that we want to make sure that we emanate for you and with you, and that we are held accountable to. Thanks, Michelle.
And so we're going to use this RISE culture. You'll see it, twinkle in a little bit in our each month. We wanted to do a little activity today. Wanted to invite you to take a look at the feelings wheel. This was developed by Dr. Gloria Wilcox. And the point of this is to take a look at the center of the wheel and pick more general feeling about how you're feeling today. And then challenging ourselves and looking at sort of the outer circles to be a little bit more specific with that. So I'd like you to take a look, if you don't mind, and think about 2 words that would describe how you're feeling today as you enter into this community of practice. And then I'm going to put a Mentimeter into the chat so that you can go ahead and tell us how you're feeling. So let me get that to you right now.
I'm going to put the code in the chat.
There you go. There's the link and the code is there. Can you see that okay? Fat and sleepy. Happy and productive. Oh, grief. We've had some loss lately, that's for sure. Thankful, annoyed, interested, busy, bad. We've got a mix of some good and some more difficult feelings in there. It looks like a lot of us are feeling busy, overwhelmed, and happy. We've all had a lot of changes lately. That might make most of us feel pretty overwhelmed, right? And we've been pretty busy trying to get ourselves ready for this new process, this new dashboard, this kind of new procedure that we're all going through. Thank you for sharing that. So one of the things that we would like to have at each of our community of practices, we'd like to kind of shed a spotlight on different areas of the region and take the lead as youth service coordinators with showcasing monthly some of the amazing things that you guys are doing around the state. So next month, it'll be Derek. He's going to take the lead and spotlight some of the awesomeness that's going on in his region. This gives us an opportunity to celebrate some of the common practices and opportunities and sort of tactics that we're taking around the state and share those with each other and celebrate. So you've got that to look forward to. And for this month, what we did was we took a look at creative ways to get the pre-ETS forms out to students and families. So this month really is one of those opportunities that we have to get our students prepared and ready so that we can offer pre-ETS to them. And so we are trying to think of inventive ways to get those forms into students and in front of families. So we took a look at the brainstorm sessions from all around the state at winter regionals and put together a list of ideas on what you might consider doing in order to get those pre-ETS request forms into the hands of students and families so they can get pre-ETS services. One of the first things that we thought of, that you guys thought of as a group across the state was family nights, back to school nights, resource fairs, and transition nights. So any opportunity that one might have to get in front of families and students and really talk to them about what pre-ETS are. And if students and families are interested, helping them to access them by filling out that pre-ETS request form. Oops, somebody forgot to mute, spending time with the student. So, you know, that was one of the things I think people were a little concerned about with all the changes is how are we still going to have that time to spend with students, getting to know them, helping them understand like what we have to offer as transition specialists. I think that's one of those golden opportunities when you're sitting down with a student and just having a conversation about how their day going, how's your life going, how's school going. That's one of those opportunities where you might be able to work with a student in order to get the form filled out and help them access pre-ETS. Emailing parents, if emailing, maybe include the brochure so they really understand the form that's coming to them. And then IEP and 504 meetings might be a golden opportunity, or maybe even consider like a pre-meeting before an IEP or a 504 meeting, if that seems to be a better avenue for you. Community partners, so having conversations as a transition specialist with DD service coordinators, personal agents, and those parent groups about how what are pre-ETS and how do their clients and their children access that service, and then meeting with school partners, so case managers, 504 coordinators, counselors. Several people had talked about even sharing at staff meetings or in-service meetings about how what we do for our jobs and how they can help us refer students to our programs. And then there was a couple transition specialists that talked about going into classrooms and really talking about pre-ETS and maybe even bringing the forms with them. The one thing we don't really want to do is sort of blanketly just hand these out or email them all to the class of 2027. Really should be an individualized request and an individualized service. If you have any other ideas, we would love to see them in the chat. So feel free to put them in there. And if you have questions about any of those, please feel free to let us know. And I'm going to turn it over to Derek.
Hey, everybody. Sorry, I was just trying to get people over from the other meeting still. Anyway, we just have a slide here that to sort of a pacing guide as you're thinking about requesting and getting hours in. You know, for April, we're just trying to move as fast as we can to get everybody into the system. So just submit your requests as soon as they have them. But then once we kind of look out into May and June, we're hoping to get ahead of the requests a little bit and have some lead time. So if you're thinking about services for May, we're hoping to have all of those requests in the system by April 24th so that we can do prior approval of services for May. And then similarly, for services that you're planning to provide in June, if you could get those requests in by May 15th and so on. Hopefully we'll be able to get all of our authorizations in the system and the dashboard updated so that you can see which hours you have to work ahead of time and know that those services have been approved.
Thank you, Derek. Couple of questions in the chat. The slides will be available. We'll get those uploaded on the website when we're finished. And then I'm going to turn it over to Desi. Desi's going to cover our top 10.
Hey, everybody. So the dashboard opened this week and we all got to try it out. We're learning together. And so questions started pouring in. These are our top 10 questions that we hope to just kind of answer for you. And then, of course, always reach out to your youth services coordinator one-on-one. They'd be more than happy to connect. So where are the instructional videos? Those are on our YTP, or sorry, our website, our VR website. And I'm going to stick the link for you into the chat so that you can access that. But these are those videos that we talked about where you could go on and have some instruction. You could just watch it virtually on using the dashboard. So for anyone who might need that, I just stuck the link in there. We want to get really used to using our website, and that'll take you right to it. The next question, do I need to use the dashboard and new forms if we're not going to hold a contract in July? Yes, you do. Your current contract does address any sort of changes to our systems. So it just asks that you use any new systems. And this is our new system. And this is how we report the services that are being provided to RSA, our federal funders. So yes, even if you are not planning to contract with us in July, we still need you to start using that new system currently. Next one, who signs the contractor line on the form? Typically, that's going to be a transition specialist, unless the school district has identified someone else. Most likely, your district is going to allow you to go ahead and sign that, unless, like I said, unless you've gotten special instructions that they want somebody else to be the signer, it will be you. Are transition specialists allowed to sign the school signature section? And I'm assuming we are talking about the attestation where you're attesting that they're on a 504 or have an IEP. And unfortunately, no, that is limited to a principal, a case manager, the teacher, case manager, or a school counselor. Those are the 3 people that can sign that line. It's super helpful for us, but do remember, if you cannot get that signed, it's not required to turn in the request. Just speeds things up on our end if you do. Next one, does a student over 18, and I'm seeing speech path. No, unfortunately, it's just those 3 that I listed. School counselor, case manager, or principal. Does a student over 18 have to sign the student line and the parent guardian line on the form? Yes. They need to sign both if they are signing as their own, as you know, because they're over 18. Are we recording coordinated services in the dashboard? Yes, this is our time to try it all out. So as you're doing those coordination activities, please report them. It's also a really good learning time to make sure that we all understand what fits into those 2 categories. So please do that. Next one, I just received new requests on the old form. Do I need to have them fill out the new form? If you have a family student that has filled out the old form, I know, I think the specifics on this was you got it before spring break, and now you're getting ready to start working with the student and it's on the old form. Unfortunately, we are in that transition time, and we do have to have anything that goes into the dashboard uses the new form. CJ had a really good way to kind of mitigate some of the stress on families. You've got all the information on the old form. Go ahead and fill out the new form and sit down with the family. Then all they have to do is just sign it. And you can just say, hey, it's transition time. This form is an old form that we're not using. Can I just have you sign the new one? So make it easy as possible. Sorry about that. It's part of the transition. Do students with an old form filled out need a new one to continue services? As of July 1, yes, because anything that goes through the dashboard must be done on the new form. It's part of what RSA said they approved was the new form. So to set yourself up for success, I would get that new form so that by July 1, when it starts to affect your funding, you're ready to go. But again, we're in that transition time. So as you're collecting forms, we're not dropping student services. We're trying to do both at the same time so that we're ready to go by July 1st. How long is a student? Oh, can you remind us what goes in the coordinated services part of the dashboard? I can't remember if trainings can be logged there. So it's 2 things. Does one of my teammates, can somebody pull that up really quick so that we can stick that in the chat? There's 2 things. It's working with employers to set up work-based learning experiences. And then the other one is coordinating pre-ETS with school district, with school staff. So trainings do not fall under coordination. Can you explain is this part of the group request? I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, team, that is really to inform if you're doing like a tour that you're doing with a big group of students, like it's an activity, like a specific informational interview, or maybe you're going to like a skilled trades fair and you're taking a large number of students. I think that's just to help us understand that there's multiple students going on that event.
Yep.
Team?
You got it.
Okay. All right. How long is student information posted on the dashboard? We liked this question because our team isn't really quite sure. We haven't thought that far. And so that helps us be mindful as we move forward. Do know that this had to go through a pretty rigorous security. It's a pretty high security level on our end that went through an approval process because it is, it's really, it's information we don't want to get out there. So there is high security levels on it, if that makes you feel better. I have told my specialists, if there's something that you just don't feel comfortable, I mean, you should, because it's a very secure site, but if you don't want that information on the dashboard, please just give your youth service coordinator a call. We're not quite sure. We know that there's things that get archived monthly. I don't think student names do, but I believe the requests do, but don't quote me on that. This is something we need to look into a little bit further, but thank you for the question and making us think a little bit further out.
And Desi, with that one, also just
Uh-huh.
the reminder of the security. Do you want to do that? The security of the dashboard?
That I just said it's secure?
Yeah.
More than I said? You can take it.
I was getting those things for the, never mind. Go ahead. Never mind.
I was like, is there more? Okay, so where would we log this training? So this is actually considered coordination time because it's something that we have authorized, like these are part of the new contract. This isn't really considered, that's kind of a tricky question because there are certain trainings. Team, anybody can jump in. There are certain ones.
I think that this one and like the stuff specifically like in service and things like that fall under arrangement, but I don't think any other training would that's not specifically VR run training. But I wish Michelle Markle was here to confirm that, but that's my understanding.
I think you're accurate on that. VR staff run training us. And then, do we need a separate form for a group event? What is our allowable group size? You don't need a separate form. You're going to be making sure that each student has a request form on file. And we do not have a limit, but with that said, what our RSA has said is we have to develop internal controls with how we make a decision when we approve larger groups. That hasn't quite been done yet, will be done by July 1st. And understand that can't, those are like, their large group events is not what Pre-ETS is meant to be, so they won't be authorized regularly. It's on a case-by-case basis, and we will be developing some internal controls onto how we make that decision when those events come up. Are we using the form to fill out the apply for Pre-ETS section on the dashboard? So yep, you're going to get the form filled out by the student, family, teacher, and then you enter that information into that section on the dashboard, and then you're going to scan in and upload that form, and that's how everything goes into our system. And in the chat, do we still have to send monthly VR reports to our counselor with the new system? So currently our new system, we are only using this to practice and begin working with students that are not in plan. So yes, you still need to send those reports to your VRCs at this time. And if you don't have students in the dashboard yet, how will we know we can bill? How will we? So coordinated services don't have to be authorized prior to, like the direct service does. Example being like you can't have a form filled out until you've met with the student and talked to the teacher and the family, and that's considered coordination. So those things can be done outside of the authorized hours, and then you submit what you did. So we still have to have proof of what you did.
Sorry, I missed that, and it's important. Can you repeat it, please?
Yeah. So coordinated services, unlike direct services, do not have to be authorized prior to you providing it. A good example is when you meet with a student to get the form filled out, talk to the teacher, family to decide what you're even going to submit to ask for. That falls under coordination, and you do that prior to, right? So I don't have to approve you doing that. You do have to submit that you did it and what you did. But that's how so there wouldn't be authorized hours for coordination. That falls under that 40% allowable under your contract.
The two things that are allowed in the contract are, like we mentioned earlier, coordinating work-based learning experiences with like businesses. So if you're out there trying to develop internships, work-based learning experiences for the students, and then the much larger one is coordinating services with the schools. So the piece of like writing up, like getting the forms in, but also connecting with teachers and connecting with students to see if the Pre-ETS is something that would be a good fit for them, those kinds of activities.
Thanks, Derek. One more. Can you spend more time talking about what coordinating services actually is? Any of the team want to jump in and add?
So the first thing I think of is if you are working to get your students ready to go to be able to work with for summer, you might be putting together some summer programming for your students. So you might be wanting to get your pre-ET request forms put together. Anytime you're meeting with students before those forms are put together, meeting with your staff. So sitting down at a staff meeting and talking with other teachers about what pre-ETs are, because they can help refer, they just can't do the attestation. And then also, you might sit down in department meetings, like with your SPED department, and talk about what that looks like as well. That's all coordinated.
Anybody else on the team want to jump in? It's kind of a tricky one, right? Like there's not a list. I know somebody asked for a list. Unfortunately, the definitions we have are the two we gave you, and I'm trying to look to see if there's anything deeper on intact. Again, this is why. Oh, go ahead, Derek.
I was just going to say, we did have a question in the chat that I think is a good one, about lumping them together. I think it's fine, a coordinated activities. So you're doing various coordinated activities during the course of the day. It's fine to lump them together, I believe, but the dashboards are going to require a daily entry. So the lumping would have to be like a daily lumping, just in terms of reporting on the dashboard.
All right, thanks, CJ. She put the definitions in the chat. And I would just suggest probably if you're unsure right now, connect with your youth services coordinator. They can give you, let you know and give some more in-depth. It's one of those we're gonna,
And I think
go ahead.
Go ahead, CJ.
Well, and I think with that is, this is that time where to practice, because again, we have to approve those coordination. So if you're kind of on that, this is also giving everybody that opportunity to learn and also make sure that we are getting it correct from what we approve. So kind of submit it and let's see what happens. So I think that's going to also help us in the long run and bring it back to these community of practices on what works. So, because there is some gray there.
Yeah.
And I was just going to say, yeah, exactly. And I think we all have to give ourselves some grace. We've had a few of these coordinated activities reported in the system that, some were good, some were bad. And if you're getting an email back from us, like, sorry, that's not an allowable thing. It's not anybody's fault. We're just all kind of learning.
Mm-hmm.
So just to kind of give everybody some grace on that, because there is going to be some feedback like that as we get this all dialed in.
Thanks, Derek. All right, I'm seeing another question in the chat. What if we are getting these forms signed and a field trip is coming up and I've got 5+ students that want to go, but on the form we didn't check the box, is this part of a group request? That part, I know it's not going to matter. I think it's just helpful for us. We're not going to deny it based on that. And then I'm not quite sure, I probably need some more clarification on, or is it a field trip that happens next school year? More clarification on what you're meaning. If you want to unmute, Ginger.
So is this part of a group request? So like in let's say October, we go to a community college and those are some of the same kids and we didn't check that box.
It's okay.
That's what I mean. Like, how important is that box to get checked?
It's all right. It just helps us group them on our end. It's not going to be denied because of it. Yeah.
It just may help us prioritize like those students that are going on that same event to know that we need to do that kind of together and let you know.
And then go ahead.
There's a couple more questions up there. I wasn't sure if you wanted them.
Yeah, I was going to go with this one. Will all of this information questions be recorded or posted? We are recording currently, and the recording will go onto our website. And did I miss a couple? Go ahead, Michelle.
Will we be able to see our current VR clients on the dashboard was another question. And so-
Not currently. Sorry.
And you'll only see once the hours are authorized, then you'll be able to see them on the dashboard.
Yeah.
So Christina, you should see a couple.
And then another question was, will we receive a new manual at the start of the new contract in July?
I have not heard of any plans to make a new manual. I think, are we moving more towards like internal team? I haven't heard anything. I'll stop there.
I think the priorities are just those training modules. There'll be some individual training modules around what are pre-ETS, what is student with disability, that kind of stuff. I think that's the next thing in the pipeline for development.
And then I see, should we be entering coordination daily now, or will this begin in July? Go ahead and start entering now. The more familiar we all get with the dashboard, I think the better when July comes. So go ahead and enter those daily or monthly. That depends on your preference, but at least once a month, if not, you know, as you're doing it.
Looks like Cassie's got her hand up. Cassie
Yeah.
Dunn.
Hi, yeah, I'm on quite a few. How do we deal with students that we've had in RAP meetings? And some are in RAP meetings and some are just like monthly meetings some are weekly meetings that should I just say, we need to fill this paperwork out now and get you on the system? I know that's probably redundant from what we've all just been talking about, but I mean, these are all the time. How do we start looking at those in the future?
RAP meetings, is that what you're asking?
RAP meetings. We've got a couple special, like Clackamas Web Academy, Clackamas Middle College. They meet with their student once a month, and they would like to have us come along, and it's kind of like an IEP meeting, but it's not an IEP meeting.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a RAP meeting. So I'm just going to blanket it under all that. How are we going to proceed with those?
And jump in team, but go ahead, Derek.
Oh, I'm just going to say, yeah, similar to the IEP. I mean, it sounds like those would be something, if it's going to be an ongoing function you're looking at providing or being involved with. If you want to build VR, we sort of have to look at it the same way we've talked about the IEP meetings, which is there a pre-ET function that you're providing when you're there? Like, you know, if you're just going to be there, then maybe it's not a pre-ETS. But if you're at that meeting and you're like helping the student with advocating for themselves, or, you know, helping them ahead of time to be ready to advocate for themselves, and then sort of following through with that might be a pre-ETS. But
Okay.
if it's, you know what I mean? So it's that same sort of.
Yeah, and that's kind of the second half of what you just said is more where it's almost like a boost to a self-advocacy boost more than them kind of trying to get up and jump up into a job and all that kind of stuff. So, and it helps the teachers and the learning specialists. So I guess that was my question, because I do have quite a few of those that I partake in. And do they
Yeah, I
count?
think you just have to
Those
be
under
mindful of what your role is in it, you know, and definitely, Cassie, because, you know, we can staff it a little bit more individually. So, you know, just feel free to call me and we can talk about it if you still have questions. But it sounds possible. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I see a couple more in the chat. How do we learn how to bill? I've missed that, is the link on our VR page. So billing, currently we're not really, I mean, what we're practicing is the billing happens with your business office. And that is coming in May, some training for the business office. As far as you guys go, what we do want to start seeing is you submitting proof of service provided. So that's on the dashboard. There's a place you can upload the hours that you utilized once they're authorized, the hours you utilized, and some supplemental documentation. So it's kind of two-part and more training for the business office, who will be handling that fiscal side. And Francie, you're on if there's anything additional you want to say around that.
That was great. We will be holding a training on May 20th for that. And I'll be sending out some links as we get closer.
Thank you. All right. With one of the CAP for VR being trainings, is there not going to be formal training onboarding for anyone as a Pre-ETS provider? So formal onboarding will come from youth services coordinators, Jody. So moving forward, it'll be our team that provides that direct training to any new specialists coming on. Oh, go ahead.
Can I add, this is Jody. Do you understand that question though? So yes, I understand you as a youth services coordinator team. Wonderful, love that. But when I say formal, you know, YTP specialists historically have never received. They're hired as a YTP specialist and there's no there's this handbook, but there's been no formal training. And now that we have an actual formal process by which us as Pre-ETS VR contracted Pre-ETS providers, because that's what we all are going to be as of July 1, what I guess I think it just goes along with, there's so many questions to be asked, and I understand that it's still evolving, for what that's worth, because it's only evolving as quick as the state works, right? So what the things that are in place right now are what are in place and what we all need to know what to do. I just don't, is it that then Derek's going to do a training for his region, you're going to do, you know, I don't know, I guess that's, or is it all individualized, but we're all going to get the same? I like things like this. Yes, this is a very large group, but where people ask questions that others might have not thought of, and or people who won't speak up, people are asking the questions they're thinking about. That's all. I don't know. Maybe it's,
well, I think it's a combo of all, Jody. I think number one, our team has talked about how we need a more formalized, like a process, or not process. We need standardized training for across the state. So looking at putting together some of that as a team, that just has not hit the priority as we're rolling this out. So that will come next, that we can implement with new specialists. We are planning to do these regularly. We do have in the contracts regional quarterlies that will start happening. In services in the new contract. So all of the, so it's a combination of all. Does that make sense? And not completed yet.
Also, if it's okay with all of us, we do have a couple more things in the COP to cover before we get to more Q&A. Is that okay with you, Desi? Absolutely. I was just looking at the time. We've got about 15 minutes left, and I want to make sure we get to resources. I'm sorry, I hate to cut off the really good questions. So one of the things that we wanted to do besides offer each month, you'll have, you know, top 10 questions, and that'll lead us into some dialogue, is also some useful resources. And so I'm going to turn this over to Hannah. Hannah's going to talk to us a little bit about how to glean some amazing resources off our website.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, and we'll go down the rabbit hole of Pre-ETS resources. As this continues to kind of grow and change, more resources will continue to be added to our page that you can then, you know, kind of click on, go down that hole of research and finding those resources that are going to work best for you and the students that you're working with. So first of all, you would just go into our Oregon Vocational Rehabilitation Youth Services website. Michelle, are you my person?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to come up, but it's not doing it for me. So hold on one second.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, you're just fine.
There we go. Now let's see.
Sorry, guys. Thank you for your patience and our technical difficulties.
There we go.
Awesome.
Okay.
Perfect. So first of all, you're just going to kind of go. This is a really great space to land. It allows you to select a variety of options and kind of navigate and research what's there. Please feel free to go and see what you can find. We would ultimately go to those resources for partners, the youth service partners. In that second box. There you go. Perfect. Thanks, Michelle. And then as you can scroll down in this page, there is a variety of services, whether it be through service provided, like that are provided. If you continue to scroll down, there's partnership opportunities that are listed here, and then the resources for partners and educators, which is the next box. And there's a variety of options here. We're going to go into the first, not the first, but where we're going to go today is through the National Technical Assistance Center for Transition, NTAC-C. So we're going to go ahead and click on that and go to their website. And then through this, it's a really great space to land and kind of get additional information. But if you go to topics, oops. There you go. You can scroll down. In one of the options that is listed here is the pre-employment transition services. You can select that. And then over to the right, it actually lists the 5 required pre-ETS services, lists them out, and you can select them individually. Go ahead and we can select self-advocacy or job exploration. Perfect. And then it just kind of gives you additional options, career exploration, and pieces there. So if you scroll one more time a little bit, oops, there it goes. So for example, one is explorework.com. So if you go ahead and select that. And some of you may be really familiar with this option. Michelle, do you have an account?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're amazing. Beautiful. They're free. There is an account that is available. You just quickly, it literally takes a few minutes to create an account, but you can select that explorework.com and it allows you to then kind of explore those pieces. So if you go further down, a little bit more, kind of list them out here. So if we were looking, for example, at self-advocacy, to improve those skills, and you were to select that, there's a variety of activities that you can then go down, and select that may work for your student. Accommodations, for example, would be a great one. In like lesson 2, it gives a list of accommodations that you may already have, talks about what you potentially may need in the workplace. And to kind of think about that if you looked at your accommodation guide. So this is just one example of variety of activities that are available here. And please know that this will continue to grow and develop as we continue to grow and find the most productive and useful resources for everyone to be utilizing.
And then in the slideshow that we have that'll be available on the website, we went ahead and built a slide that takes you down sort of the rabbit hole step by step. So if you are interested in getting to explore work from our website, these are all the steps that Hannah took to get there. So if that's helpful, sometimes creates a little anxiety when there's so much clicking. It's nice to have a list of exactly how you got where you wanted to be.
Exactly. Awesome. Thank you so much for doing that, Michelle.
Oh, thank you. Do you guys at this point have any questions that you would like us to answer? And then we can go ahead and stop recording at this point, I believe, too. There's only one last announcement in the slides, and that's just to Remember that spring regionals is coming up, and the registration is up on our webpage. So please feel free to go ahead and do that event squid. And then if you have any specific questions, maybe you put a question in the chat and it didn't get answered, or we missed it on somehow. Know that we're going to go back through that and take a look at those questions. But you can also reach out to your youth service coordinator in your region with any specific questions that you have.
There's one more. There's Pam has her hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Pam.
Oh, hi. This is kind of a silly question, and it's, you know, kind of blonde, but Smart Sheets had sent me like an email when, you know, initially when you get your little invitation, and then are you supposed to apply for a free license, or are you supposed to I'm just not sure
No,
how all
don't-
that works.
don't
I mean,
fall for it.
I'm able to use it without that. I don't know if I needed to do all of that or not.
You don't need that. Yeah, avoid that
Okay.
license. It'll all work on the free
Okay, great.
setting. Yep.
Thanks. That's all I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Sure.
That's not a silly question, Pam. That's a great question.
Thanks.
Any other
And-
questions out there?
Kathy said Smart Sheets sends a lot of emails. Fun fact, Outlook will let you create a folder. CJ